Hi, this is Naroki5. I am going to be doing this until I die or I find something better to do. So please help me achieve this personal and, I think, noble objective by contributing to my Patreon or Subscribe Star. Link is down below. Every little bit helps. Thank you very much. All right. Hey, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Red Pill Nation Hang-Up. I am your host, Naroki5. I am broadcasting this particular show, not just from an isolated location, but from a really isolated location. I'm literally right on the cusp of the Arctic Circle right now, and I will be.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm going to be, we actually it was actually -10 with the wind chill last night here. And it was, and we have snow outside already. So yeah, and it's like I'm having to, I'll get into some of the details. The other three people that I work with in my group, two of them are from Middle Eastern, Middle Eastern Arabic countries, and the supervisors from Namibia. So yeah, I'm gonna have to give them some instructions on on how to deal with cold weather. So yeah, I am for way the hell up here, and I'm gonna be up here for hopefully for the next few years. Well, not all the time. It's gonna be I'm gonna be rotating in and out, but hopefully this place keeps going for a while. So anyway, I am your host Naroki5. With me tonight, of course, is my usual partner in crime, and the guy who's actually recording the call right now. Rearson, introduce yourself.
What's M5?
Rearson, introduce yourself.
You know he's got to prepare his GIMP suit every time we do this show. He's got to get out of it and tuck it away.
Oh.
Yeah, 24/7 is getting a little bit. So Rearson, introduce yourself. Rearson.
Yeah, Rearson.
Okay, V, introduce yourself. Sorry, Rearson seems to be having technical issues. We have to keep.
He doesn't understand. The red ball has to go out of his mouth, and the strap. Anyways, it's red for a reason. It's like, attention here. All right, can't say your safe word unless you can get that out. Anyways, yes, I am V, host of the Red Pill Hardcore Radio Show and other shows, and advertiser of TLBTalk.com, free speech social network, and soon to be actor. So,
yeah, cool.
A lot of projects coming up here. And I've actually brought along with us, and Daryl, just to save us and yourself some data and feed, whatever, for the call, you don't need your camera.
Oh, I just figured out how to use it, so I didn't know.
We're just doing audio. We're just doing audio.
Okay, cool. That saves a lot. Let me figure out how to turn it off.
and in between the talks, I'm just letting you in on the rules here. Mute your mic so we don't hear you moving about.
Oh.
These headphones? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, it's just the thing. If you're talking, you unmute. If you're not talking, you mute.
Mute. Okay, I didn't hear the word. Okay.
But anyways, you're next up. Introduce yourself.
Me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, hey. I'm Daryl over here. He said Nickelback Daryl. I always thought that was funny because of Dimebag Daryl, and I could never be half as good as him, or that's as best as I could get anyway. I like doing what I don't see done. That's my favorite thing. And I guess if there's more to know, you'll figure it out, or who cares? Hi, guys.
Hey, guys. All right. Are you done? Okay, let's see if Rearson's got the Yeah, all right. Let's see if Rearson's got the red gag out of his mouth yet. Gag ball out of his mouth.
Hello.
Guess not.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound like you're about 5,000 miles away.
All right. I'm just gonna keep track of time and that message.
Okay, yeah. Get your microphone fixed. You've probably got some time to do it. So, anyway, yep. So, I am recording this on my phone because I don't. Again, where I am is the net reception is really spotty in my bunk, and there's literally there's absolutely no guaranteed privacy anywhere else that I do this. So, for those of you who don't know, I am at Patreon as as Rookie5. I'm subscribed stars Red Pill Nation. I am at BitChute Odyssey, Rumble, MGTOW TV, Facebook, Minds, Gab, MeWe, TLB Talks. You're welcome, V. Parlor. No, not Parlor. Getter, and that is it for now. Unless somebody's got some other suggestions for me to go on. That is it for content. Just giving you guys a quick brief down. Yeah, I have to start work about 3 hours here. So yeah, to the best of our ability, let's just keep this laser today. Unfortunately, because yeah, it's just going to be the nature of what I'm going to be doing, hopefully for the next little while. So without any further ado, here are the topics for tonight. Okay, let me find them. All right. Topic number 1, Fresh and Fit podcast demonetized from YouTube. Topic number 2, suspicions mount about how the fire started in Maui. Topic number 3, excavation of native sites on church property in Manitoba. On church sites in Canada keeps coming up empty. And topic number 4, oh, look, another COVID variant arrives just in time for the election. Topic number 5, the Wagner Group boss dies in a mysterious plane crash. Topic number 6, Google caught burying web pages of Republican and Democrat presidential candidates opposed to Biden. And topic number 7, Bud Light throws in the towel on Dylan Mulvaney. So, Rearson, from the recording time, put in the actual time that we're starting this, so that I know and then I can fix it. Oh, and then we can get on with the topic. So topic number 1 is, oh my God, where the hell is it? Yeah, I have to figure out how to do this by phone here. All right, topic number 1, Fresh and Fit. Okay, there has been, I don't know, I mean, V knows who Fresh and Fit is. I don't know if Dimebag Daryl knows who Fresh and Fit is, but
I didn't know it was a person.
Yeah, no, it's a podcast. It's a Manosphere podcast. The Manosphere, the Manosphere is the Manosphere has been coming under some rather stringent attacks in the last few, which is exactly. By the way, his name keeps getting pulled into this, but it's sort of like, he seems to have a really good grasp on what's happening with all the areas of the Manosphere. That would be Rollo. Rollo Tomasi was actually saying that this was going to start to happen as the year went on. Fresh and Fit they're the next biggest Manosphere podcaster after Kevin Samuels, who died last year. And they have over on their main channel on YouTube, they have over 1 million subs. So yeah, they're not small potatoes.
Ooh.
I was more of a fan of Kevin Samuels and Rollo and Donovan Sharp than Fresh and Fit. Fresh and Fit seemed to be a little bit more about style over substance. They're Whatever has copied the Fresh and Fit style and is actually doing quite well as well. But again, I'm not really a fan of the Whatever podcast either. The thing about Fresh and Fit, and this is something that they got accused of doing, is Fresh and Fit's MO is that they will bring in these Instagram models and they will start talking about relationship and issues regarding the manosphere. And, you know, when it comes to Instagram models, the overwhelming number of them are noted for having looks, but not necessarily much in the way of brains. A lot of them also tend to have a somewhat entitled attitude when it comes to men, because as you all are aware, with a lot of guys, when they see a hot female giving them any amount of attention, and the blood runs from their brain straight to their dick, and they will go and make rash, stupid decisions. It's not the main MO of Fresh and Fit, but I routinely see shorts of Fresh and Fit making these women look really stupid. They have been accused of the mainstream media of intentionally trying to make these women look stupid. Here's the thing. These women always get a boost to their platforms when they go on, aka their OnlyFans and Instagram accounts start to go up. Some of them actually do have working brains, although it's very rare. And, they're the ones saying the stupid stuff. It's not like the guys at Fresh and Fit are intentionally trying to lead them into doing it, although they might be, because I'm not really a fan of them. Fresh and Fit is also, because it's the manosphere, Fresh and Fit is also the podcaster that was probably the most friendly with Andrew Tate, and I'm sure everybody here knows who that is. Fresh and Fit has been the go-to choice in the manosphere for.
Hey, am I supposed to ask questions?
No, you get it. Yeah, you're probably going to go about third here. You get a chance to comment as much as you want if you have questions. Oh, wait. No, if you have a question, if it's a quick question, I can answer it for you, or we can answer
I don't know what manosphere means.
Oh, okay. Manosphere, for the lay people who don't know what Manosphere is. Manosphere is a series, it's the part of the internet which discusses male issues. There's three major components to it. There's
it's a news thing for dudes.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. There's three major.
Andrew Tate. Who's that?
Andrew Tate. Oh, wow. Somebody who doesn't know who Andrew Tate is. Oh, wow. Okay. For those of you who don't know who Andrew Tate was, Andrew Tate was in 2022. He was the most Googled searched name on Google. He does manosphere content. He's his style is very provocative. Like a lot of guys in the manosphere, he is really critical of women's behavior, and he has a tendency to call a spade a spade. I see. Andrew Tate was also willing to skirt the law on a few things, and he was also, unlike Rollo Tomassi. Unlike Rollo Tomassi and Donovan Sharp and whatever, who generally keep their commentary more, and Fresh and Fit, who generally keep their commentary just strictly manosphere. Tate was willing to enter the political and cultural arena and give commentary on that. And he has a huge, he not necessarily online, but apparently he has a huge following elsewhere. And they just can't. And he's actually, he's probably the biggest and hugest influencer out there at the moment. And he got arrested back in January on what it definitely appears to be, and I'm going to say appears to be, manufactured charges. and they held him for as absolutely long as they could before releasing him. And yeah, it's a very interesting story. But anyway, getting back to the original point, Fresh and Fit has been the go-to source in the manosphere. Tate will feed information directly to Fresh and Fit, I think, about what's going on the Tate case. Like, for instance, I saw the video because the two women that apparently charged him were claiming that they were held against their will. Tate, I think, or somebody in Tate's defense team sent video to Fresh and Fit showing that these women were clearly not being held against their will, aka freely leaving the mansion with money and cash and getting into Ubers and coming back with shopping gear. So yeah, kind of hard to claim they were being held against their will when they're able to freely come and go from the mansion with cash. So it's not like they were being forcibly held against their will, right? Why didn't they go straight to the police? But anyway, so Fresh and Fit, though, has a style, which is they tend to be, and you can almost count on some of these Instagram models to say something really entitled or really stupid, and, Fresh and Fit will, they'll rebuke them. Yeah, some of these women will argue rather stridently. Again, right? And this is this is a prime example of it today. I mean, like, there's some people that don't know what's going on or haven't really heard of the manosphere in any way. And when they go on mainstream sources and they look up stuff for the manosphere, they get misleading information, which actually works out in the favor of the guys in the manosphere, because that means the people who try to come and attack the manosphere don't know what they're talking about. And an attempt to create a false narrative is very difficult when the manosphere has pretty much gone global at this point. But Fresh and Fit is the current number one podcaster in the manosphere now that Kevin Samuels has passed away. They got demonetized. It was the usual. They were being misogynistic. They were being abusive and whatever. I'm having to imagine that they've got a backup plan. They probably, like anybody in the manosphere, anybody who does red pill content always has alternative sources of revenue. So, but yeah, YouTube has been going on YouTube has been pulling some very sleazy stuff, which I won't get into right now in the last couple of months. But yeah, they're specifically targeting the manosphere because it's like all three of the big content producers have all been hit at some point in time in the last everybody. The only big one that hasn't been hit yet is Terrence Pop. Hammerhand got the Hammerhand's been hit. Undead Chronic's been hit. Somebody tried to do a run against the Donovan Sharp that could have cost him his channel. We covered the one that recently happened to Rolo Tomasi, and now Fresh and Fit's been demonetized. So yeah, my personal point of view on this is, they have to. When it comes to men in particular, they have to try to hold the narrative. I keep hearing rumors of war potentially starting up with Russia, which I think is utterly insane. But yeah, guys in the manosphere are not going to be signing up to go fight for a country that treats them like a disposable utility. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to V, and then we'll go to Dimebag, and then Rearson, hopefully, who has his fix. Nickelback.
Yeah, careful there. I don't want to get any Pantera fans mad. I don't need that.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, we'll do V. It'll be V, Nickelback, and then Rearson. So V, take it away.
Okay. First off, that would be a way to remember his name, because it's kind of a dual thing when I named him. He has the story about how he was named, and it has to do with Nickelback Daryl. Or I'm sorry, Dimebag Daryl. But now it's Nickelback Daryl. And when you look at the guy, he kind of looks like Nickelback. So if you kind of just merge the two, you get Nickelback, Daryl.
Nickelback, yes. I do like Nickelback, however, I will admit it. I do.
That's why.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right.
I
Anyways,
do. They're great.
Yeah. So when it comes to Fresh and Fit, it's just one of those shows I can't sit through for very long. I'm most familiar with them through the shorts, YouTube shorts, and yeah, they're always making these women look dumb. But if you watch the actual full show, the girls' opinions on things will vary. You'll have two or three women who are just lost in the ether, and then you'll have one who's rather conservative and will side with the host on issues concerning men and women. So for them to be demonetized, it's absolutely ridiculous. I think YouTube is killing. It's not just because of the conservative issue. It's kind of what you said about these Instagram models. Their own platforms are shooting up and making money. So YouTube wants to kill anything that big ups any other platform. Because YouTube is next on its way out. All right? Because Twitter or X is already on its way out. YouTube is going to be next. So I know Twitter X is they've lost most of their advertising now because of the growing anti-Semitism that's on the platform. So they're going to be sitting right next to Gab here real soon. Yeah, I mean,
didn't they not make money at all ever, and they've never declared profit in the first place? Twitter X.
That I don't know.
Yeah, no, they've never actually turned a profit at any point. The only reason Twitter is doing well is because it's kind of like the public square, more or less. Anyway, continue, V.
Yeah, and so I'm more of an Abba and Preach kind of guy, and I've definitely thrown you guys clips of that show. It's much better. It's just the idea of Fresh and Fit. I know these guys are beefing. Abba and Preach, Fresh and Fit. They're always beefing. I don't know why, particularly, but I feel like I'm supporting these models and some of these airheads by watching the show. So I don't watch it that much. Like I said, I'm just mostly familiar with the YouTube shorts. And that's all I need. Now, as far as the demonetization is concerned, YouTube can do that. I'm down for any of these platforms that want to shoot themselves in the foot with a nail gun, because that's making my world a lot better. Being one of the directors of TLB Talk, and I'm also the director of TLB TV, which has been on hiatus for a couple of years, but I'm going to be bringing it back. How am I going to bring it back? When I get over to the States here, when I get stateside here in a month or so, I'm going to get a private investigator who will be digging up information on all these people who are being screwed over by YouTube, being screwed over by whatever platform. I'm going to be holding meetings with these people and bringing them over to my platform to grow it. So anytime YouTube screws up, anytime Facebook screws up, anytime Twitter wants to screw up, I will be there. Hey, I like sloppy seconds. What can I say? Another network's trash is another network's gold.
Say the name of the network.
TLBtalk.com. That's
There
right,
it is.
ladies and gentlemen. And with that, I will pass it on to Nickelback Daryl.
I just figured out how the mute button works like about 5 minutes ago, so I think I understand what to do. But I don't know enough to comment on fresh and fit and whatnot. But making people look foolish is easy to do, especially if they don't look into what platform or place they are at and they just get told to go here for X and figure out what they're doing on the fly, which is kind of what I'm doing right now. I don't know anything. I could look like a total tool at this exact moment, and I wouldn't even know it, except for that I'm always looking like a tool. So here we are. Also, I love the band Tool. Just say that. Get that in there. So I don't really know how to reply to any of that, to be honest with you.
That's okay. Rurston, you're up.
Is that the ball gag guy?
Yeah. Hey, did you were told not to wear the really extra special gimp suit on Sunday, Rurston?
Is that better?
I can't tell if that's pleasure or pain.
Okay, so just say something else here, Rurston. Talk.
How am I sounding?
You sound
Hey, when
really
you're
faint still.
Closer to the swing.
When you're in your gimp suit, do people enter your rear son?
Ah.
Okay, I'm gonna graciously bow out. I'll just track of time.
You don't know anything about this one? Okay. So all right, let's move.
Okay, I can comment on it. It's just that I sound too faint, so I'm not gonna.
Wow, you got to fix that mic there, Rearson.
He's got to move his setup closer to the six swing. So he's got to climb out of that thing, move the stuff closer, and then he can get back in the swing.
All right. All right.
I was laughing too. I just couldn't unmute it.
Oh my god. Oh, Rurston, it's not your day today. Okay. Keep working on the mic issues. If you need to do a mic test or whatever, keep doing it. But yeah, obviously you don't know very much about this topic, and that's okay. Just get the time step for the next topic then, and then we can keep moving forward here.
Mic check. Ha ha ha. I'll be the anti-myth rhythm rock shaka. How about you, Rearson? What you got?
Okay, topic number 2. Okay.
Sounds like somebody's pleasuring Rearson over there.
See, Rearson, this is what happens when you don't have a proper mic and you can't defend yourself properly.
Yeah, the new guy can get on you.
I don't know what I'm doing at all, Rearson. What the fuck?
Okay, so topic number 2. Yeah, just hopefully Rearson's time stamped it from the sit point where we had it for. As we all are aware, there was a huge wildfire in the town of I'm trying to remember what the name of the town is, Kaluhani or whatever it was, on the island of Maui. Like the overwhelming amount of that town, like literally burned to the ground. Several hundred people died. Don't know why they didn't evacuate, because they're right next to the shore too. That was the odd thing. But I remember seeing videos of it and like seeing cars burnt out and actually seeing a dog that had actually burnt to death as I was going down the way, and it looked like an absolute war zone. No, this is Hawaii.
Maybe hot, yeah, watch out there. Just watch out, hot maybe. Over here, concrete.
Wow. Old folks home gone. House gone.
Now, here's the really weird part about this whole thing. First of all, it's looking like it may have been intentionally set. There was apparently a record of fires in that area having been intentionally set in the past. They seemed really, really keen on doing everything they could to kill the tour. Like, they were basically, even though this was just in one town and the biggest city in Maui is still up and open for business, but people were like thinking that this, and Hawaii is a series of islands, not just one island, right? So, tourism to Hawaii dropped away, and specifically tourism to Maui just dried up completely, which is not the case because the wildfire was only in one section of the island, right? Like, it wasn't everywhere. There has also been a case of some very unscrupulous investors making a really heavy push to buy up property there. As in, it's almost like a land rush. And nobody really seems to know why this island in particular is being targeted in such a way, but you've got like real estate developers and private companies everywhere, like specifically on Maui, attempting to buy up as much land as humanly possible. Now, in my experience, when that happens, there's only two reasons why. And the first one that comes up, and it's the reason why I'm sitting just south of the Arctic Circle right now, they've discovered a resource on the island that is going to be incredibly valuable, and they want to buy up as much of the property as humanly possible so that they can cash in. Or B, they're planning on moving some restricted facilities to the island, and they want to get as much of the civilian pop, which is what they did with Area 51 around Groom Lake. I mean, they they bought up as much of the land as humanly possible, and they made deals with the ranchers immediately around there, which makes it really hard for you to actually go in and see the place. That would be the second speculation. The third might be a private party attempting to monopolize all of the financial resources on the island, but that would require a level of coordination that I think only something like a corporation like, say, BlackRock would be able to pull off, which again is not out of the realm of possibility here. The fire was deliberately, it looks like the fire was deliberately set, just like the fires in Alberta may have been, most of them were deliberately set as well. And there's also the fourth one where they just want to start fires to promote this quote unquote climate agenda. That's also another possibility as well. In fact, I would probably say that might be up near the top of the list. But I mean, the first question that
just
comes
opportunists seizing a possibility, and they've had money laying in wait, and this angle seems like a better one.
Yeah. So the there were I will say this particular summer, at least where I live, there were a lot. For instance, I was up at Yellowknife in August, and I would not have been able to complete that rotation because the town needed to be evacuated because the wildfires got so close to the town. Don't think you're going to have to worry too much about wildfires where I'm living during the summer because there's no trees to burn this far north. I'll have to send you guys some photos. I'll show you what it looks like up here. We're like north of the tree line. It's there's a number of things that are going on. You've noticed, for instance, that that in particular the politicians on the left are doing everything they can now to try to blame everything on global warming. This is the thing I will say about Twitter now, is that when these climate activists or these politicians go on Twitter and start grandstanding about it, or the mainstream media goes on to Twitter and starts grandstanding about this stuff, the algorithm now doesn't support what they're doing, and they're getting absolutely roasted in the comments now, which is which I have to say the biggest change that's occurred on Twitter. And we'll be covering this next Sunday as well. There are some other really suspicious events going on, like there doesn't seem to be a clear indication how many people died. There has been, and we'll get more into this next week. There has been a unusually high number of children that have disappeared, apparently, out of this area in the last week or so. There's over 1,000 children whose presence cannot be accounted for at this point. Again, we will cover more of that next week. There's also a lot of very suspicious activity in terms of they're not allowing press into the zone. They're fencing, and they're making a really serious effort to fence everything off in these burnt out areas. They're not even allowing the residents back in. But yeah, we'll get more into that next week. Right now, we're just talking about the origins of the fire. Likely started on purpose, likely arson, and definitely starting to, given the reaction of the authorities, there's likely somebody higher up was likely involved in this. And I'm also going to say one other thing about it. I find it rather strange that they're having a hard time getting funds to help the people out in this situation, but they can somehow find billions of dollars to send to the Ukraine. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to V.
Yes. Well, I like your theories as to why it happened. You took the words right out of my mouth, except you're missing one. And that is the possible gentrification. Now, I'm gonna roll back around to that. But first, let me say, Okay, so this might be a directed energy weapon attack. There's only one person that I have seen cover this mention this, and I haven't looked at the evidence. I'm going to for next week to give you more detailed analysis on this. But I had just left California like a few months before the Paradise incident. Now, for those of you who know, I used to live in a tiny, tiny little town in California called Oroville. Now, yes, that's where the Oroville Dam is that broke. Yes, that's the same town. But it's funny because a friend of mine, we got in the car. She took me to Paradise to tour the place, and also to take another friend of ours to the hospital because Oroville hospitals suck. The worst hospital in the country. So you literally, if you want any kind of medical care, you have to leave Oroville. Anyways, so Paradise is like maybe 10 minutes drive outside of Oroville. And I told myself, this place is so gorgeous. I have to have a house here. I want to retire here. Because just where the redwoods start, the giant trees, these beautiful houses, it looks like, where they filmed Harry and the Hendersons. It's so gorgeous out there. I told myself, this place is great. I know why they call it Paradise. This is like a hidden little gem. And then next thing you know, Paradise got hit with DOD, directed energy weapons. It wasn't just a regular fire. It was controlled burns. You can see where trees were split in half, perfectly in half. Fire lines burned dirt, glassed over dirt, burned everything, and in perfect straight lines. And the streets in which got burned, all the houses that got burned, the street names, they all have some Christian or Illuminati meaning. So I think it's like one of those things, marking their territory, marking the event in history. I won't get too into that, but it was clear, very clear. Anyone who knows about direct energy weapons and lasers, Paradise was burned on purpose. Now, as far as Hawaii, I don't know. Again, I have to examine the evidence. I need to see what's left over after the fires die down, so we can examine whether directed energy weapons were used. But I would not. It wouldn't surprise me, because at this point, I want to say, you have some very good, interesting theories there, Naroki, as to why it could have happened. But I'm going to go with Occam's razor here and just go with the simplest and say it's gentrification. You have so much land on Hawaii, and you have so many people that have already lived there. You can't just get up and go to Hawaii and say, oh, I want a house, and just think that you're going to be able to live anywhere. You have limited areas where you can buy a house. It's only small, tiny islands. So guess what? It's time to wipe the slate clean, build even more expensive houses, okay? Because there are more and more rich people being made every day. Ridiculous amount of inflated money that they want spent. Because the middle class is shrinking, okay? Middle class is shrinking. They don't want any people with middle class over there. Either you're a servant or you're a mega multimillionaire. Okay? So I'm definitely going to go with gentrification on this, and also a media distraction. How many times has a project building burned down, and anyone given a flying F about it? There are no organizations that want to help the homeless in Detroit, Chicago, any place like that. But you burn down half Hawaii, and even though I'm going to tell you, I'm going to guess 99% of these $1 million homes are going to be insured. You have these organizations popping up everywhere. Oh, let's help Hawaii. Let's help Hawaii. Let's help the people. Get them shelter. You know, it's like America dropped a pearl in the mud and is frantically trying to wipe and clean it off. Because it's Hawaii. The people there, oh my gosh. All these privileged people who probably never have slept in a tent before. Oh no, something must be done. These poor people. Get out of here with that. It makes me sick to my stomach. Organizations to funnel money in, funnel money. You have new causes created every day that you get these organizations that funnel money and funnel money. Oh, let's find the missing 1,000 children. The Hawaii missing children fund. You know, and it makes me sick. That people fall for this stuff. Me personally, I don't. These people in these multi-million-dollar homes, and I'm not gonna say everybody was rich that got burned down over there, but you know, a lot of these people, well-to-do. If you can buy milk at $10 a gallon, I'm sorry, I don't feel sorry for you. Collect your insurance money and move back to the States. Hell, it's probably a damn good investment to be cashed out. If I had a $1 million, $2 million home that burned down in Hawaii, I'm taking that money. I'm going to the States. I'm gonna buy me a nice house on a lot of acreage, you know, like a ranch, and not have to deal with anybody else ever again. That's my dream. But you know, you got these people who are addicted to status, and they want to live on this tiny little island. And guess what? These people are going to do everything they can. They're going to sell their souls to get back what they lost in some way or another. They're going to break, destroy, and maim, and it's all going to be in the name of profits. Any way you look at it, you plant yourself in the middle of this, you walk to any corner of this, you're going to see money grubbing plans.
Hey, that's because everybody on Earth agreed to build the society around profit and that ultimate goal being the richest person on Earth. It's kind of everybody's fault that we're doing that. That being said, I double booked myself today, and I'm going to see Jeff Ross, and I have to get ready to do it because I don't always time things properly. So I must apologize for being abrupt, but Jenny just got here, and we're gonna go watch some comedy. And sorry.
The Roastmaster?
The Roastmaster General, that's fucking right.
Oh, wow. Cool. All right, well, have fun. Bro.
Yeah, sorry, guys.
Have fun. Okay.
Yeah, peace out. I hope to see y'all soon.
All right, next Sunday.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, next Sunday. All right, Rearson, you're up. Hopefully you've got the mic issues fixed now.
And a podcast.
I don't know for sure. Radio name.
Okay, guys, we're gonna have. Let's
Thomas. Poland now.
All right, Rearson, go ahead, speak. Don't anybody speak.
Hang up.
Oh man, I'm an idiot. I don't know how this works.
Yeah, you are.
All right, Rearson, go ahead.
I'm not really gonna...
Rearson, go ahead. Oh, for God's sakes, man.
Yeah, and this is why that I'm not talking. So just count me out. Crack a
Oh,
time.
okay. All right. You don't have anything to say on this issue?
No, that would sound like I'm talking through a fire ball gag. No, I'll talk about it when I can figure crap out.
All right. Yeah. Okay. I'll give you a call if I got time. I'll give you a call at the end of the show. So basically, it's just me and V tonight. Okay. So,
All right.
topic number 3. Yeah, just put the timestamp in there, Rearson. Thank you. All right. Topic number 3. Okay, this is one that's close to my particular territory. Now, when this whole thing around the Kamloops residential school started, all of a sudden it was this place and it was this place, and oh, they found bodies over here and they found bodies over there, and they fed this and this and this and this and this. One of the things there was immediately, like, they were tearing down statues in various places. There were demands to cancel Canada Day over this. At one point, I posted up a video on I did a run with it, which was cancel Canada Day. How about no? And this one guy at this one Sphere site just absolutely started like screaming at me to stop, and it tried. He pulled SJW crap to try to get it, and it's like, well, no, I'm not. None of the people who were in this particular group have ever done anything to natives, so it's like, yeah, and it's like you're making demands based on just the say-so of the media and the say-so of a bunch of people who want to have a victim industrial complex going on. That's what I'm going to start calling it. So they have never, like, their evidence has been disturbances in the ground, right? Which could have happened anyway. Ground penetrating radar can tell you that there's a space there. It can tell you there might be something in the space, but they can't tell you if it's a body or how old it is or what that person died from. There's like ground penetrating radar can just tell you that, yeah, something's there. That's the evidence that they have for most of these particular cases. So they've done 3 excavations so far. The third one was the one recently done at Manitoba. It was done in a church basement, and for the third time now, they have found nothing. Now, I'm not saying that what happened in Kamloops didn't occur, because there's still a possibility that it did. I'm not saying that the claims are bogus. I am not saying that I'm not saying that I support white people in this or anything like that, because I know all about. I'm very familiar with racism towards natives. What I am particularly perturbed about in this particular situation is that they found nothing, and everybody should be happy because, yay, people weren't actually murdered. But when the tribal chief, when he made a public statement on this issue, like, when I'm like listening to him, and I'm like, and he's actually disappointed that they didn't find bodies. He sounds disappointed that they didn't find any bodies, and it's like, what? Like, a genocide, a mass murder didn't occur. Nobody died. You should be happy. But no, they're not happy. And there's only one very specific reason why they're not happy about this, is because what is an anomaly and a mistake? 2 is a pattern. 3 is if they excavated a third time, then it starts to look like there's a fraud going on. And there were likely people inside this particular reservation. In fact, there's entire, like, if you go to downtown Vancouver and you walk down Robson Street, there's like literally a whole memorial set up to the camp, to the residential schools and the quote unquote mass genocide that occurred, right? And so there's groups of people who literally are getting money from a victim industrial complex. In order for that to continue, they have to find bodies. And they're not finding bodies. And
well, you're saying the Canadians are too nice to be doing something like that, eh?
Yeah, they are, huh? Yeah. I suspect that the kids who died at Kamloops, they died from hockey injuries, eh? No, I'm not saying. I mean, is there a possibility that something happened? Yeah, there is. Based upon what I know about how, because when this first came out, they tried to tie this up to the Nazis, and they this is the thing that really kind of turned me off about Mr. Arnett. He was making the claims that Joseph Mengele spent time in Montreal after the Second World War, and he made claims like it was like 80,000 deaths out of these. He made some really hyperbolic statements that don't appear to be holding up. Now, are they going to potentially find, because they are going ahead with some more excavations, but I mean, they keep coming up empty, right? And the Kamloops incident in particular, the people who are the organizers around that are doing everything they can to avoid addressing whether they're going to do an excavation of the bodies there or not. Like, they don't answer questions about it. One of the other things, and we discussed this on an earlier episode, is the fact that there are certain factions within this quote unquote victim industrial complex that wanted the Canadian government to make even questioning the narrative a crime. So I hate to say this, because these are effectively my people that I'm talking about here, right? But it looks like there's a money scheme going on here, and they're willing to do everything they can to keep that good old government money and those good old victim bucks rolling in, and they're going to perpetuate this narrative until it absolutely falls apart. And looks like it is starting to fall apart now again, right? Are they going to find something? Maybe. Did something happen? Would they have done something like this to natives, just like what they did in the U.S. to the African American population? Like, perform medical experiments on them and concentrate them in one place so that the deaths could be more easily hidden? Yep, they would definitely do something like that. Did it actually occur? I don't know, right? But they have not come. This is the third excavation now, and they still haven't come up with the smoking gun. And what really got to me this time was the fact that, instead of being happy about the fact that it didn't occur, like, the chief was like literally like disappointed that they didn't find anything, because I suspect that there may have been some money coming in over this, and they're going to lose the gravy train now over this issue. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to V.
Well, just because you don't find a black man hanging from every tree you see doesn't mean lynchings didn't happen.
Oh, of course.
So, I mean, I don't know. I know someone who's a white guy that you met him, that Native American history activist, and he talks about this stuff all the time. How underneath every church there's a There's a burial site. Native Americans. It's if you want to focus, I think it goes the other way. You want to focus on one type of killing, and then you find a lot of false scenarios. They want to discredit it. Okay, it needs to be discredited for the sake of the people that want to not give out the dollars. I mean, who's to say that these sites weren't just cleared out beforehand, knowing this was going to be a thing? So I don't know. These are just possibilities in my mind, and knowing the kind of people that we're talking about here, it's a possibility.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, I'm not saying that it didn't happen. And yeah, what you're saying is possible. Again, if they keep coming up empty time and time and time again, though, it's time to like go, But we're not there yet. But for me, it was the response it was the reaction of the chief, though, not so much about the fact that they didn't find anything. It was the reaction of the chief. Like he was like, okay, they didn't find anything. Nobody died. You should be happy about that. But no, he wasn't happy about that at all. But continue, V.
Well, I mean, again, it's it happened. Whether if you killed 10 different Indians 10 different kind of ways, and you want to run a campaign behind one of them and say they all got killed that way, I mean, it doesn't really matter. So
no, not really, but yeah, continue.
To me, well, I mean, philosophically, I mean, apples and oranges and peaches and pears. So the point is, you got fruit. I think that's the bigger picture that needs to be looked at. People want to micro analyze something, just say, "Ha we don't have to do this." Like thing that makes me sick. Like for example, the African slave trade. Oh, your own people gave you up. So we don't owe you nothing. Your own people sold you slave. No, you have one or two instances. Okay, maybe a few more. A few instances of the white people coming into Africa, meeting up with a chief, getting the chief drunk. Okay? Drugs, alcohol. Europeans came with the stuff and started getting people hooked on alcohol. Yeah, some deals were made that probably would have never been made. Does that destroy the validity of the victimization that was done? No. So it's just people plucking and picking apart. I don't care how something was done. It's just that it was done. The evidence that it was done is because, Native American people nearly wiped out. That's evidence enough, is it not? So, I mean, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say it depended upon what region of North America they were in. There's some places where they got wiped out entirely and other places that held out pretty well. It was Mexico was really bad. Central America, they got the shit kicked out of them down there. There's the parts of the world that I come from. It wasn't as bad, but continue, right? It wasn't a uniform policy between the colonial nations back in the 17th, 18th, 19th centuries. But continue.
Yeah, well, when you have manifest destiny, genocide is going to be a little bit inconsistent, especially with the actual geographical considerations. But yeah, I mean, no, that was really my only point. I think people are just wanting to look at any and then like your point, people are just looking at the details to prove stuff. So I don't think the detail matters. That's my point.
Okay. Rearson, do you have anything to say on this? Or are you just gonna be
I'm gonna be because you don't saying anything.
Okay, I'm going. You know what? I'm gonna have to get you. I'm gonna have to go get you a mic next time I'm down in Calgary. Anyway, next topic. Hold on a second. Let me just bring up the. Did you do the timestamp, by the way, Rearson, on that last topic? Okay. Go do. Okay, because I'm not seeing it here. All right. Topic number 4. Oh wow, we're gonna have some fun on this one. The new COVID variant. Yes, folks, just in time for don't forget to put the timestamp in here. Just in time for the election, just in time for just when Pfizer comes out with booster number 5, just before the election, which I don't think is a coincidence, although, you could make the argument that it is. Just when it's starting to look like public opinion is starting to seriously turn against the people in power. And it's not just happening in the United States, it's also happening in Canada. In Canada, for instance, Pierre Poilievre got I think it was like a 12 or 13 point lead over Justin Trudeau in the polls. That's not likely to go away. In fact, Pierre Poilievre is almost at the point where, if an election were called right now, he has a very solid chance at winning a majority, which is kind of almost what would be necessary to stop Trudeau. But I digress on that. You're already getting, quote unquote, and I'm gonna use ditto marks when I say this, organic protests demanding to bring back mask mandates. There was one that occurred in Vancouver, for instance, where the peace-loving people who are concerned for their health, mask advocates, actually attacked the counter-protesters. A lot of people also, and this is what V has been talking about counter stories here. The whole situation around all of these mask protests or everything like that, like hardly anybody knew that Pfizer had come out with the new booster, right? Also, this particular strain just happened to conveniently be coming along just when Pfizer's stock price was starting to go down again, right? Where they were losing billions of dollars in stock value because their stock prices were starting to go down again. So now we've got this new mysterious variant, which has been spreading kind of haphazardly. And again, they're making attempts to roll out the same sort of things that they were rolling out back in 2021. Hold on a second. But it's not working this time, because this time the opposition is organized. And again, right, in certain places like where I live, you have political leaders that are not going to play ball this time. So, So one of the people, the Babylon Bee called this this new strain of COVID. They call it election year-a-thon strain of COVID. Because like as it currently stands, Biden is not going to win in 2020 unless they get the same types of conditions that they had. And sorry, he's not going to win in 2024 like he did in 2020, where they have easily accessible drop-in ballot boxes and everybody has to stay inside, and they're able to control the voting. They're able to pull the same level of election fraud that they pulled in 2020, which they're not going to be able to do because they're being watched too closely now, but it's the only realistic chance that they've got. So, out comes election year-a-thon, COVID strain. And, having actually had COVID, it's no worse than any, at least for me, it was no worse than any other flu. My problem is that I tried to push my recovery a little bit too hard, and I actually ended up getting sick again for a few days. But I mean, they cannot go back to the same style of shutdowns that they had back in 2021 and 2022. It was exhausting. It was tiring. However, there's a very strong possibility that they may actually bring them back. And we're still dealing with the fallout from what happened the last time they tried to pull this. So, anyway, where I live, though, not where I'm currently working, but where I live, we're probably going to be, we're going to be like Florida. We're going to be fairly well protected against this insanity this time around, because I can't see Daniel Smith getting sucked in by mainstream media. I can't see the guy who was running. I can't even remember his name now. Who was the person who was the premier before Daniel Smith again? Pearson? Sorry?
Jason Kenney.
Jason Kenney. Yeah, Jason Kenney just like collapsed, and then he caved in the moment the convoy occurred and reversed everything. But I mean, Jason Kenney was shown to have no backbone. That is not going to be the case with Daniel Smith. So, but again, I don't live in the state, but there is an election likely upcoming here in Canada as well. But again, right, the rise of this quote unquote new COVID strain, it's not fooling as many people this time around. I mean, that's probably one of the reasons why those pro-mask endorsers got so pissed off at the anti-maskers at that event in Vancouver, was because the anti-maskers were ready for their bullshit this time, right? And the yelling and the screaming wasn't going to work this time, and it's not going to work if they have a pro mask event anywhere, specifically if they have one in Alberta. It's not going to go very well for them, right? And wouldn't surprise me, because I mean, again, right, the whole narrative has just disintegrated, right? And if you're trying to push a bad narrative, and it's just not going to work anymore. But yeah, election year-a-thon, COVID strain coming up. Just watch the news. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to V.
Yeah, well, it would have never gone away to begin with if, the Pfizer people weren't caught actually talking about them testing stuff against new strains that they were making. It would have never died down to begin with. We would have had a new variation, nonstop. But, since the people are underneath MK Ultra, trauma-based mind control. You forget stuff. I mean, America and now growing into the rest of the world, you have an attention span of about 5 minutes. So if we're not constantly being hammered with something in the news and it goes away for a day or two, we forget about it. Okay? But now that Pfizer was caught, one of their executives got caught on camera talking about how they're creating new variants themselves. I mean, people don't remember that. That story got shoved underneath the rug so fast. That was such an important story that it should still be on the news today. How they like to loop stories on these news channels, how they loop stories to get us traumatized. No, this is one of those stories that should have been looped over and over and over and over for days, months, up to the year. But no, it got leaked out, and you saw that for 2 or 3 days, and that was it. But now that enough time has gone by, yes, it's time for a new variant, because we've forgotten all about the fact that Pfizer is the one that's making these variants. Yeah. And it's not just in time for the political season. It's mostly because summer's over. It's going to get cold again. People buy their flu vaccines, right? At the beginning of the fall, get ready for the winter. It's vaccine season. So they got to get their best product on up and ready, because it's going to be a cold winter. And now, because it's psychological operations, it's warfare on the mind of the people. Okay, it wasn't just a coincidence that I was correct about the winters. These past few winters being the coldest that we've seen in a long time. Okay, so what was it a couple of years ago? The rooftops were collapsing in Texas because of the ice. I'm from Texas. You don't get ice on your roof. For the simple fact that COVID was strong and they wanted everybody to get it, they did weather warfare on us. Yes, those ionospheric heaters, like HARP, they can turn up and down the temperature of the planet. Yes, they can. Global warming, yes, it's real, but not because of reasons why people think. They literally, the New World Order literally has the thermostat in their office for the world. Okay? They are creating the conditions so they can keep pushing this nanotech onto us for their transhuman agenda. I have never caught COVID, and I've never taken the vaccine. I'm going to remain as pure as I can be. And I hope other people take my lead on this and not get these vaccines. That's all I'm going to say on that. Go ahead. I'm done.
I've timestamped if both are done.
Wait, so are you strapped on the wall, Pearson? Are you on that thing, that gyroscope? You got somebody there spinning you around?
Okay, let's get on to topic number. What topic are we on? We're on topic number. We're on topic number 5. Hold on.
Yeah, let's do it.
Hold on a second. Oh, Wagner Group. Okay, this one is going to be really interesting. Wagner. Oh, wait a second. Now they're coming through. Okay. Thank you, Rierson. The Wagner Group is the next one. This one is really interesting. A deal got worked out. As we all know, Wagner put a Wagner at one point pulled all his troops out of the Ukraine and started sending them towards Moscow. And then all of a sudden, a deal got worked out, and the president of Belarus decided to at least put Perezhokin under his political protection, which was probably a good thing because, I mean, while Putin is not engaging in human trafficking and money laundering, although at least not officially doing it, I'd seem to think that Putin maybe if he's doing it is being a little bit more sophisticated about it. Putin is a ruthless motherfucker. And I'm going to give you an idea of how potentially ruthless Putin was. Putin at one point looked into the possibility of being able to come up with a poison which could be delivered to the male via the female vaginal opening. And he actually seriously looked into it. And they couldn't actually figure out a way of doing it where both the man and the woman weren't going to end up dead. So he dropped it. But yeah, he did some when he was working in East Germany. He was a pretty ruthless son of a bitch, right? There's some stories about him when he was based out of Dresden, for instance. Putin can be a very ruthless person. Political opponents to Putin have a very curious habit of either dying in accidents or falling out of windows or committing suicide, or in some cases just simply being outright murdered. So yeah, Putin is not a guy you want to cross, and you don't make the decision to cross Putin lightly. That being said, I still think he's probably head and shoulders above Zelensky. Zelensky's been allowing all sorts of stuff to go on in Ukraine that I don't think Putin would have been allowing. Now, does that mean that the Russians have the quote unquote morally superior high ground? No, it does not. Now, what apparently occurred is Perezhokin and Putin worked out some sort of deal which allowed Perezhokin to return to Russia. And of course, he flew to Moscow, which, okay, that kind of makes sense because Moscow is like the central hub for Russia. And he was there for a few days. And then he got on some planes and he was going to fly back up to St. Petersburg. Well, the plane that he was on just suddenly dropped out of the sky.
Пиздец, это беспилотник. Сбили, бабахнуло 2 раза, взорвалось, падает. Ты посмотри, падает. Блядь. Где, блядь, бабахнет? Куда упал? Вон тут куски летят. Где-то, блядь, упал. Хуя дым пошел какой. А там он куски летят еще. Смотри, какой клуб. Поднимается. Пиздец. Меня аж трясет. Охуеть. Где это? Блядь, не видать нихуя. Вон. Около фермы. Горим. Не пойму, у фермы нет.
Что касается этой авиационной катастрофы, то прежде всего хочу выразить слова искреннего соболезнования семьям всех погибших. Это всегда трагедия. И действительно, если там находились, вроде первичные данные говорят о том, что там находились и сотрудники компании «Вагнер», хотел бы отметить, что это люди, которые внесли существенный вклад в наше общее дело борьбы с неонацистским режимом на Украине. Мы об этом помним, знаем и не забудем. Пригожина я знал очень давно, с начала 90-х годов. Это был человек сложной судьбы, и ошибки у него были серьезные в жизни, и добивался он результатов нужных и для себя, и тогда, когда я его просил об этом для общего дела, как вот в эти последние месяцы. А вчера только, насколько мне стало известно, вернулся из Африки, встречался здесь с некоторыми официальными лицами. Но что точно совершенно, мне об этом докладывал сегодня с утра руководитель Следственного комитета. Они начали уже предварительное расследование этого происшествия, и оно будет проведено в полном объеме и доведено до конца. Это здесь нет никаких сомнений.
Now, the reason why people are thinking perhaps that he was shot out of the sky, because there's only two things that could, three actually that could have done it, apparently. Either A, he got struck by a missile, B, there was a bomb on the plane that went off, or C, catastrophic mechanical failure. Like, as in failure to the point where the plane, like, literally just stops flying and just drops. The only issue is that the crash itself was caught on video. And while the crash itself was caught on video, there's also rumors that there was apparently a bit of a boom before it happened. But again, that could have been from a bomb. That also could have been from catastrophic mechanical failure. But apparently on radar, the plane just disappeared, right? And the other thing that occurred around this is the fact that Perezhogin's route from Moscow to St. Petersburg took his plane within range of one of Putin's residences. Now, Putin's residence is just like in the United States. Putin's residences have anti-air defenses, aka they've got missiles at these residences that are capable of defending the compound from air attack. Those same missiles can be very conveniently used to shoot down a plane that flies too close. So Putin's reaction to the situation was kind of mixed. Here's the thing about the situation. This is why I think that it was done on purpose, and this is just my opinion. One, Perezhogin is a multimillionaire. They pay very good money to keep both. Well, here's the other thing. There were two planes in the sky. The one that Perezhogin and most of his lieutenants was on was shot down. The other one immediately turned around and went back to Moscow. Okay, if it had been catastrophic, and it's like, again, explanations as to why that occurred have also been, people have been very mum about it. The situation is this, okay, so they pay good money, so they would have been keeping those planes in reasonably good condition. Again, though, catastrophic plane failure does happen. Two, there was a bomb on board. The only thing about that is Perezhogin is a potential victim of assassination, and he's got the money to hire decent security teams to sweep the plane for bombs before he took off. So the third one is that, yeah, they did fly close to a Putin residence, and that Putin residence did have missiles that were capable of shooting the plane down. I'm kind of leaning towards that one based upon, and this is going to sound really weird, but I've seen World War II footage of in particularly of the kamikaze attacks at Okinawa, and you see the pictures of planes that have been shot down, and they're kind of like spinning around as they go down. They don't usually, or they plummet. But I mean, I saw multiple pictures where the plane just kind of like spins before it goes down, and that's exactly what Perezhogin's plane was doing when it came down. Like it looked more consistent. The footage I saw, it looked more consistent with a plane getting shot down with a plane as opposed to catastrophic plane failure. And I have to go to the bathroom right now, so hopefully V can keep talking for a while. If the signal gets dropped, I will jump back in.
Wow. All right. Bathroom buffer. I was just about to do the same thing. Well, it's listen. All right. First off, I know America's not listening, but you can't talk trash about my man Putin. All right, Putin. I respect Putin. Okay, Putin is the man. I'm not gonna say everything he does is right or wrong, but when I look at Putin in Russia and I look at Biden and the United States and the governmental structures and agencies, I can say I've got more respect for Russia because, I mean, the stuff is out on the table. I mean, when I've dealt with the U.S. government and the NSA, when I have to deal with these scumbags, these covert criminals, the things that they did, things they do, this at a distance stuff, fingerprintless crimes at a distance. They will order somebody to 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 manipulate somebody to manipulate somebody to manipulate somebody just to screw with you. Just to screw with me. These are pussy cats. If I ever seen them. I I I often just think to myself, I mean, I know why these feds crawl out the window when I come around. They can't wait to get away from me. So I would step on one of these cockroaches, swat at the flies, omit disgust because of how lowly vermin that they are. Wussies, panty waste. The discharge from a little girl's first period has more masculinity than these people at the NSA and these covert governments. They want to mess with me and screw with me because I'm a man. And I do what I want to do. That's what the V stands for, volition. They want to challenge my sovereignty. You know what? They wanted to chew on me, but I tell you what, they had to spit me out because they just couldn't handle it. Analyze them and everything they're about and put them out for display. Like a hooker on a street corner. Now, you look at the Russians. You look at Putin. I got respect for Putin. Putin will walk in the room unzip his pants and put his balls on the table and say, let's have a discussion. That's my style. That's what I'm about. I'll slap my manhood on the table and change the discussion in the room. Like a real man. People should know. I mean, what do you expect? You mess with Russia, you don't step correct, you get corrected. That's what it's about. Okay? There ain't got to be all this CIA controlled media to lie to you, to whisper sweet nothings in your ears because they're scared. Okay? I mean, and this is nothing new. This is nothing new. This is Eastern Bloc Russian stuff right here. Hell, the leader of the president of Poland some years ago, his plane got downed, and guess what? His twin brother mysteriously came into power. That's just how business gets done around here. Of course, dealing with government, you you play stupid games with stupid people and you win stupid prizes. And that's just what it is. Me personally, if I were a politician, I as is, I hate to fly. I really do. I hate to fly as is. Hell, the way that these scumbags were trying to stop me from flying out of San Francisco, sending up their little Segway cops, trying to ID me, trying to tell me that I left the vehicle abandoned in the parking lot, try to come up with all kinds of stories to detain me, so I could miss my flight out of the States. I have to let them know what it is I do, and I will expose them. I got left alone, released by the police, and then the people at the counter with the tickets that you got to go and check in with, oh, you have to have a work visa to go to Poland. Sorry. No, what? Screw that. I went and hit on another chick at another counter. Beautiful girl. I told her she looked like Beyonce. I was like, "Can you help me, miss?" It's a good thing I'm a pickup artist. It's a good thing. She went and did some research for me. She went upstairs, talked to the administrators from the airport, worked on my behalf, came down and told me I was lied to, booked me on the next flight. People trying to hold me up, ask me questions why I have so many laptops. Oh, you can't, sir, get a line. You can't have 2 carry-on bags. What? The person in front of me has 3. I got screwed with in every way, shape, and possible because these feds did not want me to leave the country. I hate flying, but that's just the covert crap. And then there's the overt stuff. You mess with Russia, you're going to get shot down. Plain and simple. I have to, I'd rather just get on a plane and be shot down than have to go through the crap that I went through. The manipulations, the covert tugs, the puppet strings. Americans don't understand the puppet world they live in. There's no need for all those puppet strings anywhere else. You mess up, there's one person that's going to come out and get you. There isn't this whole system of mind control like there's in the U.S. So, I mean, if Putin shot him down, hey, then that's what it is. What are we going to do about it? Putin is the king of his domain. I don't know. Naroki, you back?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yes, I am back. Yeah. Yeah. Putin is. Well, I mean, again, it doesn't seem like. I mean, yeah, I can say I'm not super critical. I mean, if I have to choose between, yeah, oh yeah, well, oh, he definitely's got some balls. He's probably. He is again. I want to think that he's a counter to the globalists, but I mean, yeah, it's been pointed out that he basically went along with all of the all of the globalist stuff that occurred. He went along with that, but anyway, yep, yeah. Putin's a ruthless. Putin's got to definitely. He'll unzip his fucking zipper and put his fucking balls on the table, and go, yeah, let's fucking negotiate. That's Putin style, which is exactly what you would figure. He's also got a face that you wouldn't want to play poker against the guy either. Like the guy's expressions are almost unreadable. I can respect Putin. I mean, Russia has got a tradition of really of strongmen leading the country, and Putin is your typical Russian strongman. He's definitely better than some of the ones that they've had in the past, for sure. But I mean, yeah, that's just the way things roll in Russia. There's nothing I can do about it. But again, right, what Putin was doing in Ukraine was at least partial. I hate to say this, but was at least partially justified. Especially given what the fact of, and here's the thing. I mean, there's a very real possibility that we might be at, not we, but the U.S. government and the West might be at war with Russia and China by 2027, which, by the way, is one of the other reasons, and you heard me talk about this when we were doing the Fresh and Fit thing. They cannot, I can tell you right now that the overwhelming number of men in the manosphere are not going to fucking sign up to fight, right? Like they're just not, because they know the situation that's going on, and they cannot have that at this particular point in time, because it's like, again, right, the number of men in the manosphere could get as high as 12 or 13 million by 2027. And so it's like the next president, regardless of whether it's Trump or Biden, like the next president is going to have to start to address this issue, whether they want to or not, because the numbers are simply going to be too, absolute minimum, the size of the manosphere in North America is going to be about 5 million by about 2027. That's the absolute rock bottom minimum, which is about yeah.
But that was the point of 9/11. Oh, let's come up with this psyop so that we can get rid of all the patriot men. Let's get rid of all the masculine, patriot, brave men. Let's go send them to die in another country, or let's put them on our payroll. All the cowardly, sniveling, corrupt men, they can stay in the States and be cops. And then there's everybody else. That was the system of control that was supposed to have been around. But now there's just too many men being screwed over by the system, being screwed over by the way society is, and now we have the manosphere because of it.
Yeah, and I can tell you the overwhelming, unless they already are in the armed forces or have a tradition of joining the armed forces, the overwhelming majority of men in the manosphere are not going to sign up to fight. Like, they're just not going to do it. And it's like, I don't know how the globalists, I mean, DDJ has taught, a couple people have mentioned the possibility that they might send in the blue helmets into the United States, which would be a huge mistake, because they would be considered an occupying power and would be treated like an occupying power in a country where you're lawfully allowed to carry weapons, where you're lawfully allowed to hold weapons and are able to fight back against your prosecutors. It would be it would be Vietnam or Afghanistan times about 100 if they tried doing that in the U.S. Like, if you thought, if you thought Afghanistan was bad, if you try sending UN troops even into North America, period, right? Like, you're having a hard time holding on to a tiny little country like Afghanistan or Vietnam. Like, try fucking holding on to an entire continent by force of arms, especially one where guns are almost part of the culture, like they are here in North America. But anyway, I digress. Was Perezhogan shot down? I'm leaning towards yes. Perezhogan obviously forgot his place. I don't really have too much of an opinion. Perezhogan also was very loud and vocal about his criticism of Putin. Putin is apparently not as solid in power as he appears to be, but you know what? We'll see. Time will tell. And with that, I think we can move on to the next topic, which is, don't forget the timestamp, Rearson, which is okay. Oh, this one is special. Google caught burying web pages of Republican and Democrat candidates opposed to Biden. Okay, this one has to be probably the least. I mean, it has to be. Like, you have to be extra special stupid. And this is the thing about the bringing back election year con with COVID.
Extra special stupid, not just remedial. You gotta be extra special stupid. I'm sorry, you're cracking me up. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like, they literally just not even 3-4 months ago. In fact, they're still ongoing. They did a review of the Twitter files where it showed that they were cooperating with the government, and then Google, who is going to eventually have to go and send people to the same commission to testify, like, literally goes out and buries the web pages for all of the Republican candidates and specifically for Joseph Kennedy on the Democrat side. And we're thinking that it wasn't going to get caught. You know, I mean, it's like that. It turns out in hindsight that it was probably coming from Jack Dorsey, and Jack Dorsey just didn't want to do oh, hey, Vinny, wanted to do an FU. Wanted to do a fuck you to Ted Cruz. So Twitter would go and do this stuff after Jack Dorsey was had to embarrass himself in Congress. But I mean, what Google did in burying those presidential sites, I mean, it's like, of course they knew they were going to do it, because they know now that the intelligent state, not the deep state. I'm going to take the Whitney Webb's course on. I'm going to call it the intelligence state, was going to do something like this with any potential presidential rival to Joe Biden, and specifically with Joseph Kennedy. And they were going to be monitoring Google, Facebook, Twitter, in YouTube that they've got people on their own time monitoring these social media sites because they know that the intelligence state is working in concert with the some Silicon Valley oligarchs to do this exact thing. And everybody's got access to all of the testimony that happened around the Twitter files. Everybody can see that it's happening. So what does Google go and do? Google goes ahead and does it anyway and thinks that they're not going to be caught. And of course, the mainstream media is not reporting on this, but on alt media sites, it's being reported in a lot of different places. And of course, right, now Google has egg on its face. And, at some point, Sundar Pichai is going to have to go up against this committee. And this committee is not as naive and dumb as the one he had to go and testify at 2018. They know about the now. They know about all the shenanigans. They know about all the machinations and manipulations that they were doing to the site, right? They know what's happening. So it's sort of like, and they're the same thing that's gonna have that happened with Yoel Roth and Vijay Gadde is going to happen with Sundar Pichai. Pichai won't be able to lie his way out of it again, right? But yeah, they got access to this information, but it's either extra special stupid or profoundly arrogant or just blindly desperate that Google would even attempt to do something like this. When I went back and looked a couple of days later, this particular algorithmic glitch had been quote unquote fixed, but it's too late. They've already been caught doing it because the internet is forever. And hello, Vinny, how you doing? So yeah, of course they were doing it, but the thing that really gets me is sort of like, were you guys actually watching the Twitter files testimony? Right? You got caught. And what do? They go ahead and do the same thing all over again. And with that, and Vinny, when V is done, I'll allow you to fully introduce yourself. But V, take it away.
Well, actually, since he just got on, I think it's more appropriate that Vinny gets to go before me. Let's give him some time on the air.
Well, okay. Sorry, Vinny, introduce yourself. And the topic we're talking about right at the moment is Google got caught burying all of the political, Google caught burying those websites in their system. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, that's the alt-right delete, I think. We can call that. And Google's been known for doing this for a long time. But anyway, hello, everybody. I'm Vinny Eastwood. Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, and people who suffer from gender dysphoria. The Vinny Eastwood Show is bad news. It's the lighter side of genocide. Just because we've been exterminated doesn't mean we can't enjoy it. Otherwise, what's the point of being killed? And the only thing worse than living in a high-tech global police state run by child trafficking Satanists is Vinny's jokes. So that's me in a nutshell. I got arrested 2 years ago for protesting lockdowns. We're awaiting the judgment of that on the 10th of October of this year. I'm facing 3 months prison for standing within 2 meters of another person. And I had the largest online archive of protests, public meetings, and long-form interviews with activists in New Zealand history before it got all deleted, and all the people who are now dead who can no longer contribute to activism but by their memory got erased with it. So I'm personally doing about 1.5 out of 10. So things could be worse. But there's some room for improvement. So Google, me old son. Okay, how did they get their logo again? Was it 666 in a rotating circle with a couple of primary colors there? or something? How did Google get started up? Wasn't it some sort of seed capital from a CIA front that found out all the best technological ways to surveil people and control the narrative and so on and so forth? Are we seeing the continuation of perhaps Operation Mockingbird, like Mockingbird Mark II, perhaps, where the intelligence agencies are taking direct control of the most popular internet websites, video sharing platforms, and social media, etc., in order to control the narrative, to fulfill what the CIA's director said in, I believe it was 1980 something. By the time our disinformation protocols are complete, everything the American public believe will be the exact opposite of the truth. And I don't know if you guys have been looking around here, but it looks like a lot of people believe the exact opposite of the truth. And I think Google is probably trying to help along with that by censoring those people on the so-called right wing from getting in there. And this smacks of election censorship, and we noticed this in the New Zealand election as well in 2020, where 3 weeks out from election day, the mainstream media published a defamatory documentary about the leader of the party, Billy TK, and what he stands for, and then deleted the party's Facebook page. The official registered political party Facebook page got deleted 3 weeks out from election day, including all of the accounts of everybody who had access to it. So every single candidate for the party was unable to access social media 3 weeks out from election day. And it later turned out that the government had a back door and takedown protocols directly in its power, and it appeared that they used it to influence an election. So this is part of a long chain of instances, and we can only hope that Google get brought to justice over this. But because of the lack of reporting in mainstream media and lack of public outcry, as we should be hearing, it looks fairly unlikely. I hate to be the voice of doom and gloom, but that's my job. Back to you in the studio.
Okay. All right. Well, okay. Yeah, see? I'm glad I let Vinny go first, because he explained that Google's basically CIA. A lot of ex-CIA directors, intelligence people, they retire, but they go and work for Google. That's what a lot of people just don't realize. There's a really famous video of ex-CIA director who then became the head of the CIA. I'm sorry, the Google of the Google director. She came out on stage in this TEDx format. I think it was before TEDx. She was talking about the little stickers. They're like tattoos. Oh, you can put this on all the teenagers, and it'll attract them everywhere they go. You know, this ex-CIA, and then Google director talking about intelligence technology. You know who these people are. We know who these people are. But let me tell you about my experience very quickly with Google. Yeah, so I would say about 8.5 years ago, I'm doing my show, at the radio station in my local town in Norville, and things, a little bit tight at those times. I'm literally, at a house up in the mountains, just bought a trailer to put up the other end of the property because I was on a chicken farm. I wanted a place away from the noise on the other end of the acreage.
You just didn't want those activist chickens interrupting your podcasts. Just admit it.
Well, when you got a roaring cock on the property, it gets a little uh, a, a little annoying, I guess. But yeah, no, it had everything. Geese. Oh, those birds are the loudest creatures on the planet. Uh, we had, lived on a little miniature farm. But anyways, yeah. So just to get away from the noise, I put a trailer on the other end of the property. Uh, come to say, money is tight. Having to get back and forth in town. Some days I walk in town. Some days I'm late. I've got to, call a cab. Because I don't drive my vehicle around because of the police harassment. So, um, so again, things are tight, money tight. So my bank account starts getting attacked. I'm going to the ATM. Oh, there's sufficient funds. Well, how the hell can that be? I should have a couple $100 in here. I'm looking at my account. Oh, Google charges. Oh, really? Google. Done the whole. And at this time period, I've either burned or they have burned me, all the banks in town. So I had prepaid card with a check cashing place. That's where I put my money. So I find out my money is stolen because digital purchases were made through Google Wallet. Google Wallet. I had to call these people and let them know that these are fraudulent charges. To make a purchase through Google Wallet, that means somebody had to have my account information, all of it, and then make a Google account, email, wallet, then do the transaction. There's not a lot. The only people that would have all that information is somebody working in intelligence, in the government. But because I made a big stink about it, it was uncontested. They gave me my money back 4 weeks later. But that wouldn't be the last time that happened. Again, I mentioned earlier how I was trying to get the hell out of the country, trying to fly out to San Francisco. This happened again. I couldn't even buy my ticket out. Nearly $400 missing. And again, I mentioned I'm a bit of a PUA. I'm a pickup artist. I went to the check cashing place, talked to the lady who was the manager there. After talking to her for a couple minutes and getting to know her a little bit, she said, "You know what I'm going to do for you? I'm going to credit you with this money back onto your account right now." Oh, really? Oh, God, you're an angel. Oh, thank you. You're such a beautiful person. I would have had to wait for that amount of money and for the investigation to go on. I would have had to wait 12 weeks for them to decide if they were going to give me the money back or not. So there's a pattern here, right? I set up, well, my little woman here set up a website for me, Red Pill Hardcore Online. I tell you what, everything's paid for. Yet half the people that I tell about the site say they can't reach the site. It doesn't do anything. Then a whole bunch of people tell me, oh, when they try to go to the site, they get an ad redirect. They get Google ad redirects. Even before that, it was stopping people from going to my website saying that this site was a security risk. Why was it a security risk to go to my website? Because it was hacked so badly. It was under such heavy surveillance. So this is what Google does, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, 666, evil corporation, controlled by the CIA. Absolutely. This is why we should not be so heavily dependent upon technology. Our society and the infrastructure should not be heavily dependent upon technology either. There's correspondence that I was supposed to have done and money stuff. I can't do anything. I can't make sure anything is done unless I do it in person. And when you live all the way across the Atlantic Ocean, mail doesn't work. Fax machines. People claim they don't get the fax machine. I literally have to have an assistant there in the States to run around and do my business for me and get receipts and proof that things happen. People need to stop supporting anything Google. I'm telling you. Anyways, those are my horror stories for Google. Move on.
Okay, I haven't had that same experience with Google. Most of my nightmare stuff has either been through YouTube or Facebook. I'm not overly surprised. Oh
yeah. Well, okay. Well, I'm sorry. Let me interrupt you. Let me interrupt you. One more thing I did forget. So YouTube/Google, when talk about burying stuff, burying pages, you can know the exact name. You can type in the exact name of any of my TLB TV episodes from the video version of my show. You can type in any of the shows that I've had. Family Case Files, Targeted, The Red Pill Hardcore, and you can type in the exact name of the episode. But you can scroll down the search results. It's not going to be the first page. Go to the next page. You scroll down that page. It's not going to be there either. About sometimes the third or fourth page, even though you typed in the exact name of the video, it won't come up until anywhere between the third and the fifth page. You want to talk about burying stuff? Yeah, that's how they do it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's like I say, my experience with Google has not been all that bad. I haven't used a lot of their services. I chose to stay away from Google streaming. Like I say, I'm no longer I have a YouTube, but I only have the YouTube because it makes it convenient to load up at BitChute, Odyssey, Rumble, and MGTOW TV. Because I can just link back to the YouTube upload and then send it over there to get that done. So yeah, it's not overly surprised. Again, they're going to be pulling out all of the stops this year, and also in the Canadian election, which I suspect is also going to be coming up sometime in the next 12 to 18 months as well, because Jagmeet Singh, even though the New Democrat Party is a leftist party, the New Democrat Party in Canada has just been like Jagmeet Singh has been going along with everything that Trudeau has been doing, and even though the New Democrat Party is full of leftists, I mean, even they are probably getting sick with what they're trying to pull. But anyway, let's get on, because we might even have time for I might have a commentary at the end about something that happened. I didn't tell V or Vinny about this, but yeah, something happened the day before I got this gig up at the Arctic Circle. So, but let's get on with the last topic of the night. And again, we'll celebrate the victories here. Bud Light throws the towel in on Dylan Mulvaney. Well. What can I possibly say about that? Well, I mean, just look at what NASCAR has been doing. By the way, NASCAR is going like, I mean, this is the third time in less than 2 months that NASCAR has been caught doing something really stupid. But we're not going to talk about NASCAR. We all know the story about Dylan Mulvaney, about how literally Google, YouTube, and Facebook literally tried to run block. The mainstream media is tried to minimize the impact of the boycott of Bud Light. For instance, when Bud Light dropped to number 2 in sales, the mainstream media was like, "Oh, well, their sales were dropping anyway." And it was like, they just this was going to happen anyway. It was like, "Oh, well, no, it wasn't." Yeah, their sales were dropping, but beer sales in general have been dropping for a while. I got one. This is the reason why I basically gave up on YouTube. I got 2 of the videos that I uploaded were removed because I had Dylan Mulvaney in my tags. They tried pulling they tried pulling the transphobe card. They tried pulling the homophobe card. They tried pulling everything. Dylan Mulvaney, and when I get to my commentary at the end, I will get into this. Dylan Mulvaney, probably that whole decision with Bud Light probably has done more to galvanize the movement against. Well, again, we're talking, and I will have this as a topic for not the next show, but the show afterwards. There's a 1 million person march that's going to be occurring. I think it might be all over North America against what's happening with trans people pushing their agendas and having all of these books be put in public libraries. And so there's supposed to be a 1 million person march taking place fairly soon around that. But I mean, Budweiser in general had a particular audience that they appealed to, right? And this was not. Here was the really weird thing about this particular commercial where they had Dylan Mulvaney in it was really just a short little, like, basically it was almost like a TikTok video. And Dylan Mulvaney got a whole bunch of other, and here was the really weird part about what happened with Dylan Mulvaney is that right after that Bud deal happened, he suddenly coincidentally got all of these other endorsement deals all around the same time. So it I'm not going to say it. Look, it was probably an attempt by the Pritzkers and BlackRock to try to platform. They picked Mulvaney, and they were going to use Mulvaney as the new face of transgenderism in an attempt to legitimize it. Right? It didn't go well. Budweiser waffled. Then they made an apology, and then they made another apology, and everything that they did was kind of like they didn't admit that they were wrong in doing what they did. And their sales continued to plummet and plummet and plummet. So they finally, this last week, threw in, yes, if you can hear that is a helicopter in the background. The actual site that that this camp is serving is only about half a mile from the actual site itself. So yeah, you might hear helicopters going by from time to time. The sales just continued to go down and down and down and down. And I knew something was coming up when Budweiser finally, the people, Melissa Heinerscheid and her boss, first were suspended without pay, and then they were officially let go just a couple of weeks ago. So it was very, very clear that Budweiser was heading in this direction. And finally, they just said, well, no, we're done with Dylan, right? Dylan raised, he panicked. Well, here's the thing about Dylan. He didn't just, I mean, it wasn't just Budweiser. All of the other endorsement deals that he had as well, all of those companies have kind of like backed away from it as well. And they've switched over now to some other tactic when NASCAR seems to be leading the charge on that front. And Best Buy. Oh, by the way, Rearson, I am currently editing that Best Buy scouting video as we speak. I got the Edmonton section, and I'm gonna be starting on the Calgary section here tonight. So yeah, they threw in the towel on Dylan Mulvaney. Mulvaney cried and whined about it because, I mean, this was supposed to be his meal ticket that was able to him to settle in and live the life of decadent luxury that he always probably felt that he deserved. And it hasn't gone that way. And in an ironic twist of fate, this one, and it's always that one little straw that breaks the camel's back. The whole Dylan Mulvaney ad, the initial ad for March Madness was only it was a TikTok ad. It wasn't anything. It wasn't a major promotion, but it was the straw that broke the camel's back. And after that, there's a real serious push now against transgenders. And again, not every transgender was ever on board with this agenda. Blair White in particular was, and there's gay, and I mean, there's a significant divide in the gay community about what they're doing, because it turns out that a lot of gay people actually have kids, and they don't want, and they know what their community is like to a certain degree, and they don't want their kids being subject to this insanity either, or at least some of them do. So yeah, Bud White threw in the towel on Dylan Mulvaney. Dylan Mulvaney cried. I have zero sympathy for Dylan Mulvaney. I'm pretty sure we all do here. And yeah, good riddance. Looks like NASCAR and Best Buy are up on the chopping block. NASCAR in particular, which we will be covering next week. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Vinny.
So the whole idea here is that we are going down as a society. I'm not even sure if I can really comment on this, because it is just sort of like outside of my sphere of influence. Now, I want to pass it on to V and hear what he has to say about it. And then I'm going to kind of see if I can make my mind up, because it's still confusing me a little bit.
Oh, you want to piggyback on me? All right. Well, you know what? I don't know. What do we say about Dildo Mulvaney penis? Listen, money talks, BS walks. All right? That's at the end of the day. This is kind of like why conservatives will never be truly wiped out. It's always going to be a thing. Now, you've got this, I hate the term woke. You got these people who are so liberated in idealism and well, I mean, really delusion. Liberated in delusion. I'm somewhere in the middle as far as polarity on this thing. I see the evils of both sides, but Budweiser got what they got because they want to get political. Listen, anytime you want to get political about anything, you're going to lose potentially 50% of a customer base that you would like to sell to. Conservative, liberal, whatever. Doesn't matter. You take a stance, there's somebody going to stand against you. That's why it's good to be politically neutral. You want to make your piss beer, weak piss beer, and sell to people, then do that. It's America. Capitalism. Capitalism. Capitalism should not have political bias. The reason why capitalism works is because it's supposed to be open market, opportunity for everybody to generate and spend cash, and to do it how they wish. That's what's supposed to make us better than the East. It's supposed to make us better than any communist idealism. However, when you have a company and you're going to take a political stance, well, guess what? You've entered in the political arena, and that is a slippery slope that you get into. Because when you enter in the political arena, that means you got to start greasing palms. You got to start showing up to events. You gotta have PR that to navigate the road for you. It's way too much work to get political. Just because they might see a growing fad, a growing culture, these things come and go. What can stick around and be a mainstay is your product. People lose sight of prosperity for the sake of greed. I don't know. I mean, I've got a social freaking network. What would happen if I attacked every anti-Semite on my network? What would happen? I've already, I got onto a couple people already, and it's just like, hate speech is not going to happen. It's not the forum for this. Oh, you're just a Jew lover. Click. Goodbye. All right? When you get political, you're going to have people that stand against you. I know this. So, Dylan Mulvaney, I hope she, what it can prosper in some other kind of way, because I don't think anybody else. I'm pretty sure he's got the contracts that can't, years of it, but it's probably never going to be picked up by anybody else again. And that's his situation. But Budweiser needs to learn the lesson, and everybody needs to learn the lesson of Budweiser. It's not just go woke, go broke. It's chase a fad, and things will get bad. So stay neutral. That's just all I can say. But go ahead.
Well, it's on the point of this, it's like the 80-20 rules, commonly known as the Pareto principle. And what that means is 80% of your sales will be to 20% of your customers, right? And so anything you do to upset loyal customers is really going to affect your bottom line in a massive way. And, that old phrase of, read the room, bro. If you're Budweiser, and you start going woke, the majority of the people who partake in your beverage are not the kind of people who are going to appreciate that, particularly if you're directly insulting them, which just from a pure PR perspective, it doesn't matter what you said or how you said it if it's construed as an insult by the people who do 80% of your business. Then maybe it's a bad idea and maybe you get exactly what you deserve. And that's what I've got to say about that.
Yeah, the Pareto principle applies in a lot of places. It's another term, one come up by Jordan Peterson, is also known as Price's law. Yeah. The fact that the thing that really sticks out with me is the fact that Mulvaney got all of these contracts all at the same time, and it wasn't just Bud Light; it was Nike. There was a few other places that all offered him only, which tells me that this was an attempt, I think, to try to platform this and try to legitimize it, and it's really backfiring. Like I said, I don't have full information on this million-person march that's taking place against pushing the transgender agenda in schools, but it's on. I mean, in an ironic twist of fate, what Mulvaney did is that he galvanized a section of the audience that had maybe been asleep, and now they're awake, and now they're aware of it, and now all of these and I got to point out there were places in North America where they were clearly making attempts to try to sneak this stuff in and not have the parents find out, which reeks of an agenda. School board meetings are now becoming battlegrounds, which is something you don't usually see, which is something you would occasionally see, but now they're like ground zero for the culture war at this point in time. Yeah, I can't really. I mean, looks like Budweiser finally just said, "Well, no, sorry, BlackRock, Vanguard, Fleet Street." It's like, yeah, your underwriting of our stock is not. And by the way, they did try to buff up the stock a little, pump up the stock a little bit, but it's sort of like, yeah, no, I mean, your agenda is just costing us too much. So goodbye. So that concludes the regular topics. I'm just going to throw in one other little additional thing here. We won't be on this for very long, but I just needed to make this statement, and I was going to do it at the start of the show, but the impact of this, I bounced back so quickly that it ceased to be relevant. And Rearson had to listen to me vent on this on the last day of Fringe. I found out that the day, like about half an hour after the last show at the Fringe ended, I found out that Miss 2016 is engaged to be married. I saw the photo on Instagram. I saw the engagement ring, and it was like, it kind of threw me for a spin for about a day or so. However, that got immediately counteracted by the fact that I got this job offer, which pays me ridiculous amounts of money to go work up in the Arctic Circle for the entire winter, which is not going to, I can imagine like having to walk outside at 60 below, but I'll deal with that when it comes to it. I think it's really important for the guys in the manosphere that are listening to this that you need to share your wins when you get them, right? Because it's not very often that you take a hit and you get to like immediately get back up and deliver a knockout blow the day or 2 days after the fact. And to give you an idea of how little this is affecting me now. I almost forgot to even mention this because I was going to mention this on like if we were going to go on a regular scheduled time on Wednesday, this would have been a topic. I almost forgot about it. It's really important if you're a guy who's gone through a breakup like this, where there were a lot of bad feelings and a lot of emotions and a lot of leftover residue. And by the way, she also is integral to the reason why the Red Pill Nation even exists in the first place. Because, I mean, when I first started this show, it was a form of therapy. It was almost like a therapy for me. It's not a therapy anymore, and I enjoy doing it. But, yeah. That stuff, old monsters are going to come back from the grave every once in a while, and you're going to have to deal with them again. Just remember that the skills that you picked up to deal with it the first time can be used the second time around. And ultimately, again, right, this doesn't really affect my day-to-day performance anymore. But yeah, if you get a win like this, share it.
So not just one backhand, but possibly two backhands?
Oh, it got even better than that. A place that fired me 30 years earlier actually called me up like 2 days later and wanted to do a job interview, and they wanted to rehire me. So yeah, it's in boxing terms, it's like getting knocked down in the round and then getting up the following round and going out and knocking out the opponent. That's literally what it's like.
I know how that feels.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah,
there was a restaurant that I worked at. Well, it was bar and grill. Yeah, man. I had not too good experiences there, even though I was the night kitchen manager, and I bar backed, work behind the bar sometimes. The owners of the place were cheap a-holes, and they ripped me off of my last check. They just thought they were just anyways, I actually had plans on going back and offering to buy the place from them. I just wanted to flaunt my success. That was one of the things I wanted to do once I got back to the States. I looked them up a few months ago, and it's like, why can't I get a hold of people? Nobody's answering the phones. What's going on here? I go to Google Maps, look at the place. It is now an Indian restaurant. COVID destroyed them. So it's even better. I didn't have to go and flash money and make them feel small. They got destroyed by COVID. That's even better. So yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I know.
Yeah. Like you say, you get wins like that.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but that reminds me of a story. I was interviewing the lead singer of UB40, and they broke up with him via text. He'd been the lead singer for 14 years, and because he wouldn't take the thing. And the next gig that they had organised was in London. And then once they'd paid all their fees and all of that kind of stuff and got all their equipment there, then a lockdown was called and they lost all their deposits and everything and couldn't do their gig. Serves you right. It's true what they say, that only fools rush in.
Well, okay, yeah, I've got some. I mean, I'm not going to get into. I mean, because Rearson knows this discussion. There are some things I have, because I did an autopsy on this situation, and I made some new discoveries about this particular woman. Anyway, I'm glad that it didn't get that far. But I mean, it's sort of like, yeah, it threw me for a loop because there's a part of me that was going, coulda, woulda, shoulda, mighta, and it was like, no. Anyway, that's all That's all we got tonight. It's 5:20 here. I gotta be at work in just a little over half an hour. Yeah, Rearson, see what you can do about your mic for the next show. Yeah, we're going Sunday afternoon, 2:00. For at least for the next 3 shows, and yeah, hopefully you guys will be back. So thank you very much for showing up tonight.
The mic works better if you take it out of your ass. By the way. Wrong end. You got to speak to it in the other end. All right.
Oh, that's nasty. That is nasty. Okay. All right. Well, that's it, folks. Have a good night, and we will see you all next Sunday.